Hello there, it's Caroline here and welcome to Useful Graphic Design Tutorials. And today we're going to take you through another Gimp tutorial, and in this one we're going to create a shiny glossy button. Now this is great for beginners because it's easy to create and the techniques learned here can be used in a variety of projects. And as with all our videos in this Gimp series, we're using Gimp version 2.611. Now this is the image that we're looking to end up with. It's, as I say, a shiny button with some text on. So let's get going. And the first thing to do is to first of all create a new workspace. So if we go up to File and then click New, and the dialog box that opens is one where we want to put in the parameters of the size of the image or the workspace, and we want to keep it at 640 width and 400 height in terms of pixels. So let's OK that. Okay, now if your shape appears as a colour, as it does with mine, which is black, we're going to change it to white. Now first of all, make sure that the foreground colour, which is white here, is actually selected as white. Then simply go to the fill bucket and click on the fill bucket and then click on the workspace, and that is now changed to white. So the next thing to do is to go to the rectangle tool, click on that, and we're going to draw a rectangle. So we're going to keep the mouse down while we drag and draw. Let's just take that off for the moment because you won't see rounded corners when you open yours up, very likely. So there's our rectangle. But down on the left hand side there is an option to round the corners, which I'm going to ask you to toggle. And as you see, that rounds the corners of the rectangle. And here on the radius slider you can choose the degree of roundedness, if there is such a word, that you wish to have. I think I'm going to leave it at 50. So we're going to now save this for later because we'll work on it a bit later. So the thing to do here is to go up to the select option on the menu bar and then go down to Save to Channel. Now over here on the Layers and Channel dialog box you'll see the Selection Mask Copy, and this is the piece of work that we've just created and saved over here, and we'll come back to that later. So now we're going to go up to the Layers dialog box. I think that's the correct way to describe it, yes. So click on the grey layers here and click on the Create a New Layer, and that's this icon down here. And this will then create a new layer. First of all, the dialog box comes up and asks us what layer file type we want, and we want it to be toggled onto transparency. So OK that. And then we want to fill in this layer with black colour. And again we go back over to these two squares here, and we actually want the foreground colour to be black. And to change that you simply toggle on these two little arrows, and you can see the black is now the forefront. Go back up to the fill bucket option, click on that, and then click into the rectangle with the curved corner shape that we've made. We want to now create another layer, so we do as we did before, back to the layers option, down to the create a new layer. Dialog box asks us what layer fill type we want transparency. And then from the menu bar go up to select and then choose the feather option. And what this does is to feather or blur the colour of the selection that we've made. And I'm going to suggest that we choose 100 pixels because that's about the right size of the button, and click OK. You can see that it's actually slightly changed shape. And now we're going to fill in that colour there with another colour, a contrasting colour, and I think we're going to choose red. We could choose green or anything you like really. But to do that we want to click on the black foreground colour, and then the colour palette pops up. Let's choose green. Let's see what happens there. OK, and then OK it, and then make sure we've got our bucket fill toggled on, and then just click on the centre there. And so what we've now done is we've imposed green on the black, but actually you can see there's some bleed on the outside of the button which we really would like to get rid of. So to do that, let's go back to the original channel box that we saved, Selection Mark Mask over here, and we want to press this little red button down the bottom replace the selection with this channel. Back to the layers to make sure the correct layer that we want to activate is selected. That's the one with the green bit or the red bit, whichever colour you've actually chosen. And in essence we want to sort of delete everything, but what we've got selected there is everything inside of these marching ants, and the marching ants denote something that's been selected. So we want to reverse that, and to do that we go up to the menu bar, choose select, and then choose invert, as this actually inverts the selection. And now everything that's selected is actually outside of this box. So if you hit the delete button, all the blurring outside of that box is now gone, and that's exactly what we want to achieve. Now we still want to be using the selection function, and what we've done at the moment is actually select everything outside of the button. So we really need to go back up to the menu bar, press select, and then press invert to invert that selection, as it were. And you can see now the marching ants are actually along the outside of the button. So next thing is to create the glassy effect, and we'll do that by selecting the ellipse tool, and the action we're going to do here is to press down the left mouse at the same time as holding down the shift and control keys, and then releasing the mouse and dragging the shape. It sounds like a lot of things to do at once, but trust me, it's possible. So if we clicked ellipse, control and shift down, and then drag the mouse over the shape like that. So now what we've done here is taken the original rectangle and combined it with the elliptical shape, and where the two interconnect, this bit here where the marching ants are, this is the new selection area, and you can see that quite easily with the marching ants, and the marching ants denote the active area. Now I think we should just shrink this down a little, and to do this go up to the menu bar, press select, and then shrink down. And I'm going to suggest that we choose 3 pixels by shrinking down, and I think that should do it. Okay, there you go. So you can see that neatly fits on that top of that button. And we're also going to put a gradient on that. So we need to go over to the layers and create a new layer, because this is a new action, down to the new layer button. Yes, okay. So that's our new layer there. Over here is the gradient and blend tool, and we want the shine to be white, so we want to make sure that the foreground is a white colour. So toggle on the 2 arrows there to change that, and right there we're ready to go to create the gradient. So make sure we've got the right layer selected, up to the gradient or blend tool, click on that. And what we're going to do is just to press the mouse down and draw down from top to bottom in a vertical manner, and if we press Control at the same time, that ensures that we're going to actually draw a vertical line. So let's do that. Okay, and there you go. We've drawn that shadow there. Okay, we need to make sure that the correct function on the gradient is selected, and we actually want to make sure it's on foreground to transparent, and to check that, just go to the gradient box here and make sure it's actually clicked onto and selected foreground to transparent, which it is. Okay, that's good. Okay, that looks fine. So we want to turn the selection off now, and how you do that is to go up to the select on the menu bar and press none, and that now disappears, and the button now looks shiny and glassy. The last thing we want to do is to put some text onto the button, and you can choose whatever it is that you want to say. I think I'm going to say press me. So we come over to the text tool, click on that, and select your font. I'm going to use the font, the Rockwell Extra Bold, but how you change the font is to simply click once on the font box and you get all your options down there, and what you'll get there is all the font options you have in your computer. So yours may be different to mine, but I'm going to use Rockwell Extra Bold. I'm going to use a size 60 to 70, and I want to change the colour, and how you do that is by clicking on the colour box here. The colour palette shows up, and I think I'm going to go for some garish yellow. Why not? Actually, I'm going to choose that, I think, and that's okay. And now I'm going to type "press me." This little text editor box pops up with mine. Press me. Use the selected font. But don't worry if you just get that. There's something changed. I've changed something, pressed a button, and the default has changed, and I can't quite work out how to go back to it. But what you should have is your text editor box popping up together with the toolbox and the layers and channels box. So don't worry if yours doesn't look exactly like mine. I can see actually now that I've spelled that wrong. Well, I haven't spelled it wrong, but I've put 2 capital letters there. So I just clicked on the text there and changed that back to a small e. Okay, now I'm going to move it to see how it sits on the button itself. So let's go to the Move tool, and then you have to click on, oh, that looks rather good actually, onto the text itself, and then move and position it up. And whilst you've got the Move tool on, you can adjust that up and down with the up and down keys on the keyboard. Okay, so I think that's probably okay. But what I do want to do is to pop the text so it lies underneath the shiny element. And to do that, you simply move your shiny layer over and above the text layer. So this was the shiny layer. If you're not sure about that, you can just remove the eye here, and you can see what happens when you do that. Okay, so you can't see the shiny layer now, so you know it is definitely that layer. And just go to the bottom here and move the green arrow up. This raises the layer 1 step in the layer stack. Okay, so now the text is laying underneath that shiny layer. You could do various other things. You could create a drop shadow in that, but time is going on, so I'm really going to stop there. I'm just going to very quickly recap on saving. If you want to save that as a master project, if you like, which enables you to come back and amend, you would simply go up to File, Save, title the file Shiny Button Master, let's say. Make sure you've got it in the right place. I mean, mine happens to be in the Gimp folder. That's fine. Let's reduce that size a little bit, and then simply save. However, if you're quite happy with that and you don't think you want to come back and amend it at all, but you do want to use it on some work like a blog or a website, and you want to save it in a JPEG or a PNG, go up to File, press Save As. And again, make sure that you've titled it correctly, you've got it in the right folder. And now you want to go down to Select File Type, click on that little cross there, which gives you lots of format options. And I want to choose JPEG. Simply choose that Save, and this little dialog box will pop up and say your image should be exported before it can be saved as JPEG. A JPEG plugin can't handle transparency. I don't have the JPEG plugin in, but that's fine. And I'm just going to click on Export and save as. The quality, yes, pretty much leave it as a default, and then save, and that's it. So that really concludes this particular video. If you've got any questions or comments about it, please do come and visit us on our fan page on Facebook, the details of which are now being put on the screen. But for this video, that's all. We do look forward to seeing you in the next one, and until then, it's goodbye from me.